There is big breaking immigration news. A sweeping new bill has just been approved and is set to take effect in January 2026. Millions of people, including visa holders, green card applicants, and those in asylum or detention, could be dramatically impacted. This is not just a small policy tweak. This is a major shift in how immigration enforcement, review, and visa rules will operate. You need to know exactly what is coming, why it is happening, and what you need to do now to prepare. The bill is being widely referred to as a landmark enforcement package. It significantly expands funding for border security and detention, raises enforcement powers, and imposes new immigration-related fees. A large portion of the funding, more than $150 billion, is being directed to immigration authorities to build new detention centers, hire more officers, and ramp up deportation capacity. This is the most aggressive investment in immigration enforcement in years. Among the most controversial elements are the new financial burdens being placed on migrants. Starting January 2026, there will be a visa integrity fee for many non-immigrant visas, including student visas, work visas, and tourist visas. Some reports suggest this fee will be at least $250, though it could be higher and adjusted over time. For many immigrants, applying or renewing a visa could become significantly more expensive. In addition to the fee hike, there are tighter restrictions on benefits and support. The bill will limit access to tax credits, Medicaid, and other social benefits for many non-citizens, especially those who are not permanent residents. This is not just a cost of application issue. It could reshape how legal immigrants plan their finances, work, and even settle down in the United States. On the enforcement side, the bill strengthens detention powers. It builds on recently passed legislation which already mandates detention without bond for non-citizens charged with theft or certain violent crimes. The new package expands immigration authorities' capacity to detain and enforce removal, making it easier for them to hold more people for longer. Immigration advocates are calling this deeply dangerous for due process rights. There are also new enforcement mechanisms for re-entry violations. One component of the reform would impose longer mandatory sentences for non-citizens who re-enter unlawfully, particularly after removal. Individuals who re-enter after deportation could face significant prison time, raising both legal and humanitarian concerns. The bill does not just accelerate enforcement. It changes the structure of how detention funding and immigration courts will operate. With more detention beds planned and more personnel budgeted, the system could quickly shift toward a more punitive model. At the same time, there are higher application costs for immigration benefits. As fees go up, the threshold for legal entry or status becomes more expensive for many. Enforcement is not the only focus. The bill also impacts legal immigration paths. Though not all provisions directly overhaul visa categories, tightening rules on non-immigrant visa applications plus higher fees could make it harder for workers, students, and other immigrants to maintain or renew their status. Some have called the visa integrity fee a de facto wealth test, especially for non-immigrant visa categories. If you are someone affected by these changes, which could be millions, here is what you need to do right now. First, review your visa or status plan. If you have a visa that will expire soon or if you are planning to apply or renew, factor in the new fees. Budget accordingly and consider whether you should file now or wait depending on your situation. Talk with your immigration attorney or your employer if you are on a work visa. They need to know what is coming so they can plan for cost increases or delays. Second, if you are in removal proceedings or have any vulnerability tied to asylum or detention, understand how these new enforcement tools could affect you. More detention capacity means more power for authorities. It is more important than ever to know your rights, stay in contact with a legal advisor, and be prepared if authorities act more aggressively. Third, for immigrant families who rely on social supports, think about future eligibility. The loss or limitation of key benefits could force some families to reconsider financial strategies. If you are eligible for tax credits or Medicaid, make sure to understand how these rules could change what is available to you in 2026 and beyond. Fourth, keep close tabs on policy updates. This bill is massive and multifaceted. Not every provision will be implemented immediately, and some can be challenged in court or modified. Bookmark credible immigration policy news sources, sign up for advocacy group newsletters, and follow legal experts who break down how enforcement and fees will be applied in real-world cases. Fifth, consider community action or support. These changes are not just legal but political. If you belong to an immigrant community, talk with advocacy organizations. These groups may help individuals navigate the new system, provide legal help, or organize to push back on some of the harsher provisions. Sixth, prepare emotionally and psychologically. For many immigrants and their families, these changes represent more than paperwork. They represent stress, uncertainty, and risk. Talking to family, seeking community support, or engaging with pro bono legal networks can help. It is critical to understand what is driving this bill politically. Proponents argue this is about controlling borders, securing the immigration system, and applying stronger rules to reduce illegal reentry and fraud. Supporters claim it will bring clarity, fund enforcement strongly, and make the system tougher. Critics warn it could radically alter how legal immigrants live, work, and contribute to society. By raising fees and enforcement, Congress may be pricing out many immigrants who contribute to the economy yet do not have citizenship. There are also human rights concerns. With more detention capacity and tougher reentry penalties, the risk of prolonged incarceration for non-citizens rises. Detention centers could swell, asylum seekers may be detained longer, and families could face higher stress or separation. One of the most significant long-term risks is what this could do to the USCIS reputation as a country that welcomes immigrants. If fees become too high, legal immigration may slow or become less accessible for lower and middle-income migrants. Enhanced enforcement could create a more hostile environment for asylum seekers or vulnerable populations. Supporters envision this as a policy realignment. Tougher enforcement but clearer rules for legal immigrants who follow the process. For high-skilled workers or those willing to pay, the system could become more predictable, albeit more expensive than the current backlog-ridden, underfunded model. Realistically, parts of the law may face legal challenges. Sections on asylum, detention, and reentry penalties could be challenged, especially by civil rights organizations. Visa fee changes could also be challenged if they disproportionately affect certain classes of applicants. Regardless of legal battles, January 2026 is a turning point. Many of these changes become active then, and life on a visa or in the US could look very different for some immigrants. To sum up, this new immigration bill is not a modest update. It is a sweeping, enforcement-heavy package that changes detention, enforcement, visa costs, and more. Millions could be impacted, from asylum seekers to green card applicants, workers to students. It is not too early to act. Re-evaluate your status, plan financially, connect with legal help, and stay informed. The stakes are high. If you found this breakdown useful, share it with friends, family, or anyone affected by immigration policy. If you want a deep dive on how these changes could impact your visa type or how to prepare, leave a comment and it will be explained in detail. Your future in the United States could depend on staying ahead of this.